Pest control is near and dear to my heart, as anyone who knows me. That's where I made my bones as a business person, and I've been in that industry for 25 years. And that's where I really got introduced to reviews, even before Google Maps and prior to even Google being Google. Reputation was really important. An industry standpoint, you needed a great reputation to really grow. And most great pest control companies always prided themselves on just doing great work. We also understand as an industry, you're never going to make everybody happy, right? It's just an impossibility. There's always going to be someone out there who's just not happy. Going back to the early 2000s, especially in like the New York City, Brooklyn area. So I would call New York City like an urban area versus Long Island, which is more suburban. Yelp was a very prevalent review factor for pest control companies, especially in the New York City, Brooklyn area. Google really started to take notice, I think, of that and said, well, we're going to get into this game. And obviously their search parameter and their search breadth is so much larger than Yelp's, as they've just kind of exploded over them. As that happened, we always asked our customers for feedback and for postcards and all sorts of different ways that we'd want to elicit feedback to see like how the technicians were doing or how the customer service reps were answering phones and that sort of thing. Over time, what we started to realize was the only people who were leaving reviews online, and in this case, Google, back in the day, Yelp, and maybe Angie's List and that sort of thing, Thumbtack, were people who weren't happy, right? So if you didn't do something amazing, if you didn't deliver on something, if the technician didn't smile enough, sometimes that's reason enough to get a negative feedback. Listen, they did a great service, but the guy parked in my driveway. Okay, maybe they shouldn't have parked in your driveway. I don't know if that's a reason for 1 star, but could have just said, hey, your guy parked in my driveway, and we could have worked on that with the technician. But it was a lot easier to get a negative review than it was an easy review. So that's how it all started. That's how two-step reviews started, was how can we get our happy customers to start talking about us? Fast forward now a long time, and one of the examples is NuBorn Pest Control out in Westchester. He's a friend of mine. He's actually in the geographic territory that I run my pest control business in. And again, it didn't matter to me, even because there's so much in pest control. We're a commodity, just like so many other businesses. There is competition all around. And I knew that even though Joel, who's one of the owners at NuBorn, is in my geographic area, it didn't even bother me. He needed reviews. We were talking about it, and he's like, well, sign me up. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And his reviews skyrocketed. I think he had maybe, let's say, under 50 when we started. And if I'm not mistaken, now he's got over 500 in less than 2 years, which is amazing, sick. I mean, this is such good numbers and makes me so happy and proud for him. And I remember telling him when it first started, I said, it's just a matter of time till when you're answering your phones and you ask your customers, like we always do in this industry in pest control, so how did you hear about us? In the old days, you used to track it. Now you can track it with phone numbers and stuff. But back then, like you would do advertising with like a postcard or, a networking event. You'd be like, how did you hear about me? So you could see what was working, to see like and measure the ROI. Now they're unequivocally, and I'm sure I haven't spoken to him in a little while because we're in busy season, but I almost can guarantee 80% of the people, if they ask, they read your reviews online, because everyone's reading reviews online.